I think that most Christians in most churches I'm familiar with are always surprised when I come as a scholar in residence and break the news to them that Jesus was functionally, actively Jewish, and that having arguments with other Jews about the right way to be Jewish is one of the most recognizably Jewish things that we have preserved in the Gospels. So that always comes because, in fairness to the way communities have developed, it's been going on since the 2nd century to have Jesus be an opponent of Judaism and Paul being an opponent of Judaism. And, 20 centuries of an interpretive tradition is a lot of headwind if you're trying to fight that academically. So I would say it always does. There's a sense of, well, of course he was Jewish. How could he be the son of David if he weren't Jewish? And yet, but is usually the response. I think part of the reason is that it's a kind of fallacy of intention, that somehow if we are in a community in the 21st century, our community has to have been the intention of this first century person. It's a way of authorizing your own current modern identity. And if there's one thing studying history does, it's make you, it destabilizes that kind of idea of timeless identity, or at least I think good history should.
What about this Jewish community then that's sort of around Jesus, the Jesus movement? His followers think that he's the Messiah, so what does this actually mean to them? What was the Jesus movement like?
What was the Jesus movement like? Well, this is where I think Josephus should be considered the fifth gospel, because
we like him here.
Okay, because he talks about, there's a good historical reason why Jesus monopolizes the messianic limelight. But in fact, when you read Josephus, you see that there are a lot of these charismatic figures, a lot of whom have followers, virtually all of whom get cut down by Rome. And so putting Jesus against that wallpaper kind of anchors him in late Second Temple Judaism, particularly in and around Judea. And I think that the thing that distinguishes Jesus from these other let's call them messianic figures, is not Jesus himself, but the claim his followers made about him. He's the only messianic figure that I'm aware of whose followers claimed that he had been raised from the dead, and not raised from the dead in the sense of resuscitation. That's kind of as you know from ancient Christian sources, that's the kind of routine miracle that apostles do and virgins do, and all sorts of things happen in apocryphal texts. But this idea that Jesus had been raised to a different state and was about to come back, the significance of his being raised in that time context is that it's the trigger for the general resurrection, which happens according to the way the story develops when Jesus comes back, which means that the kingdom of God is at hand, which is, after all, the first thing that's attributed to him in the Gospel of Mark.